This is part 2, episode 237. Stop, I have something to say. Jin Yi shouted. She was about to completely collapse. When had a heavenly talent like her ever been beaten like this before? Now, a pair of delicate small feet was stepping down again and again on her body, simply turning her into a stone path. Right now, she was completely a punching bag. Feng Wu and Shahao completely ignored her, continuing to trample down on this enemy, hopping and jumping, sweet smiles on their faces, as they walked back and forth over her body. Jin Yi felt extreme hatred, her face distorting. She felt like whenever they took a step, a bone would break in her body. What kind of look is that? Do you hate me that much? Feng Wu lowered her head and asked. She hated her to death. Jin Yi wanted to roar out, but she didn't dare. She already became clear-headed, no longer opposing them to avoid more suffering. Feng Wu, there is no need to make that big of a deal over this. The two of us only had a bit of misunderstanding, let's just leave it in the past. Hurry and get off me. She tried her best to act friendly. However, her voice was trembling. No matter who it was that was suffering this type of torment, they would all feel resentment. When one had to lower their voice before someone they hated bitterly, how could they truly accept it? Why do I feel like you are clenching your teeth? Don't tell me you actually hate me to the point of wanting to eat my flesh and drink my blood. So frightening. Feng Wu revealed a faint smile. This time, she finally vented her resentment. During these past few days, she truly felt incredibly sullen. She was humiliated, and then her life was almost in danger, unable to retaliate, making her feel extremely bad. Qing Yi stood on the side, a cold smile appearing on the corners of her lips. She understood Feng Wu well. Normally she was lively and optimistic, also extremely kind. If she hadn't been forced to this extent, she wouldn't act like this. Jin Yi wanted to stand up, doing her best to struggle free. However, the power Shahao left in her body was extremely strange, impossible to dissolve. It continuously injured her body, also looking like it was going to corrode her foundation. This immediately frightened her badly. If she received great Dao injuries because of this, heaven knew just how great of a price she would have to pay to recover. She couldn't help but shiver. No, I'll bow down. I'm sorry, hurry and let me free. Jin Yi screamed out. When realized how bad her body's state was, she completely admitted defeat. Feng Wu raised her leg, stepping down on that face that looked a bit sinister from being distorted, saying, like I'll believe you. Let me vent out my anger first. In the distant mountain range, while surrounded by rocks, Wang Yong had his upper body exposed, his bronze skin shining, blood energy exuberant like a sea. As he breathed, all of the surrounding boulders floated up, and then melted into magma, dropping onto the ground. This was the terrifying reflection of someone who walked down the extreme path of the flesh, reaching a certain stage. On the side, a blue-clothed male in blue clothes said with a sigh, Brother Wang Yong already became a pure-body cultivator, even more so reaching the peak of this path's present world methods, about to undergo a transformation, transcend above your peers. Even though I am jealous, I have to admit that you are the #1 expert of my heavenly deity institution on this path. Haven't transcended above yet, so who knows what will happen. Don't forget that there are 2 individuals from the lower realm who have already succeeded. Cao Yusheng was lucky, obtaining heaven karma, so he's not worth mentioning. Brother Wang Yong will exceed him sooner or later. As for Huang, he's nothing more than a dead person, so there's no point in talking about him. The blue-clad male said. The dead is naturally not worth mentioning, but it is difficult to say how great Cao Yusheng's accomplishments will reach in this life. Also, Brother Lan Meng, you might even be a bit more powerful than me. Nursing divine spirits in your heavenly passages, undergoing rebirth from a cocoon, mysterious to the point of leaving others in admiration. Wang Yong said. He, Brother Wang Yong jests. Let's go, we should take a look as well. Just now, there was an arrow made of 7-colored immortal gold that flew into the sky, so something definitely happened over there. Lan Meng said with a smile. Wang Yong nodded, saying, I also heard that Jin Yi seized a lower realm woman's immortal gold arrow. Now, it was actually released like this. There seems to be something going on. Wu, not long ago, I was saying to Dao brother how there are some ancient realms people who are stirring up quite the disorder. We should take a look, see if it is the lower realms people who are starting this commotion. Lan Meng said. The two of them moved together, hurrying towards the site of action. Right now, Feng Wu had finished venting, already trampling on Jin Yi to her fill. Jin Yi's eyes were rolled back, clearly unable to take much more. It was easy to see that Jin Yi suffered severe injuries, almost dying, suffering great Dao injuries. Without paying a tremendous price, she could forget about recovering. It was even possible that she might die. The flesh injuries were delivered by Feng Wu, while the Dao injuries were from Shahao. You too, the silver robe on Jin Yi's body had long been torn apart. She opened her mouth with great difficulty, wishing to say vicious words, but didn't dare, so only these two words came out. At this moment, Shahao already turned around, looking towards the young man not too far away. This was a silver-robed male, his temperament unordinary. He stood there quietly, in his hands an arrow. It was precisely the seven-colored immortal gold arrow that was released earlier. Right now, it was in his hands. The others also looked forward. They all knew that this was an extremely frightening individual, his name Yuan Ting. Normally, he cultivated underneath a great waterfall, rarely coming out. There were rumors that he cultivated 2 strands of immortal energy, but for the sake of reaching the peak of the present world methods, he deliberately scattered the 2 strands of immortal energy, using them to nurture his primordial spirit, not leaving himself any road out, advancing boldly ahead. Shahao didn't recognize him, but he saw him arrive together with Jin Yi. Hand over the immortal gold arrow. Shahao reached out his hand. That is fine. Please let Jin Yi go as well. Even though she was wrong, she has already received punishment, so let it end here. Yuan Ting said. This is my own matter. Hand over the 7-colored immortal gold arrow. Shahao spoke domineeringly. Regardless, this was Feng Wu's weapon, so he couldn't allow others to use it as a condition. In reality, he actually didn't have much to fear here. He could sweep through all of the opponents here, not needing to discuss any conditions with anyone. Dao brother, will you let Jin Yi go or not? Yuan Ting asked again. Are you trying to negotiate with me? I am not going to think too much about other things. That 7-colored immortal gold arrow was Feng Wu's to begin with. If you aren't willing to return it, then you can come over and fight me. I have always been opposed to Jin Yi oppressing the weak as the strong, and I've warned her as well. There are many extraordinary talents in the world, so there will be some formidable individuals who can suppress her. Yuan Ting said. Then, with a kai sound, the immortal gold arrow was released, inserted into a large boulder. It was quite close to Shahao, could be considered returning. Then, he added, I am not trying to threaten you with the immortal gold arrow, but truly wish to request earnestly for Dao brother to let Jin Yi go. When Shahao heard this, he gave the other party a look. When he saw how serious the other party was, not the slightest bit artificial, he nodded. Shahao kicked Jin Yi flying, her body smashing into a distant stone mountain, and only then did he leave her alone. If it wasn't for Heavenly Deity Institution not allowing killing right now, he would have long gotten rid of Jin Yi. If he continued to torment her, Jin Yi would undoubtedly die, and the elders of the academy would be involved. Aside from this, I wish to consult Dao brother, an exchange of pointers in the true meaning, without the slightest bit of personal emotions involved. Yuan Ting said. That's fine. Shahao only had these words. First, I wish to fight with immortal energy, because this will be the last time I will use immortal energy. Soon afterwards, I will dissolve the 2 strands of immortal energy, and wholeheartedly cultivate the present world methods. As for Dao brother, you can act as you please, there is no need to place any restrictions on yourself. Yuan Ting said. When these words sounded, everyone erupted with commotion. This fella really was a martial idiot, even doing this type of thing, going to get rid of the 2 strands of immortal energy that he cultivated so bitterly. Even Shahao was moved. Just how great did one's determination and decisiveness have to be? Normally, No one would act so recklessly. He couldn't help but give this person a few more looks, discovering that his flesh and bones were exceptional, perhaps really able to obtain great accomplishments in the future. Cutting one's means of retreat like this needed a type of tremendous bravery. Make your move. Shahao's expression was calm. When faced with this type of person who was completely dedicated to cultivation, not hesitating to cut off his own path of retreat for the sake of rising greater, he still felt a bit of admiration. That was why he didn't hold himself back either. At this moment, he activated 3 strands of immortal energy, the strands circulating at his side. If he didn't display his full strength, it would be a type of humiliation for this warrior. What? Everyone cried out in alarm, looking like they were seeing a living ghost. This was just too inconceivable. Actually a young supreme being who cultivated 3 strands of immortal energy. Why did they never see him before? Who was he? In that instant, everyone became a bit stupefied, even Yuan Ting no exception, immediately becoming stunned. How was he still supposed to fight? There was no need to continue, because there was simply no way of winning. Only Jin Yi's expression was complex, because she had already noticed this a while ago, moreover personally experiencing it. Right now, she felt an urge to shout to everyone, "Do you all see why I lost? It's not that my strength was weak, but rather that he is too much of a monster, a young supreme being." Of course, she didn't scream out, feeling like that was too shameful. She was already given a beating, so if she drew everyone's attention again, it really would be purposely looking for unhappiness. "You, who are you?" Nearby, there were some who really wanted to know who exactly this person was. There were a few great experts in the academy, and they had seen all of them. There was no one like this at all. This was a supreme individual who came out of thin air, leaving all of them shocked. One had to bear in mind that this was one of the most stunning individuals, yet he kept a low profile this entire time. It was a bit absurd. This place became noisy, everyone finding it difficult to calm down. Yuan Ting released a sigh. He decisively withdrew the immortal energy into his body, and then with a fierce tremble, they were scattered, diffusing into his flesh and white bones. From this day forth, they were completely dissolved. Everyone was shocked, not expecting him to be this straightforward. He kept his words, actually really making his choice. "I wish to use present world methods to exchange pointers," Yuan Ting said. He was quite focused on this path, truly wishing to test out his own body's Tao results. When Shahao heard this, he nodded, similarly respecting this display, revealing his most powerful state. In that instant, brilliant multicolored light surged around his body, forming a great golden sun, bright and dazzling. He stood in the center, looking like an unmatched war god. That was a sphere of light, surrounding him within, preventing all methods from approaching him, aloof and transcending worldliness. What is that? Everyone was shocked, feeling greatly alarmed. When they looked at that individual in the sphere of light, their breathing even became difficult, feeling great fear, wishing to bow down to him. Single heavenly passage, this is the unmatched Tao fruit of the 10 heavenly passages merged to one. In that instant, Yuan Ting was stirred up, even his voice trembling. His eyes were burning with passion as he stared at that figure in the heavenly passage, as if he was looking at a god, trembling as he walked forward, wishing to personally touch it, almost about to kneel down. "Correct," Shahao replied. "Single heavenly passage, cultivating the present world method to the peak, the Tao fruit after truly transcending above. Heavens, who exactly is he? How could he have reached this step? Wasn't that person the only one who succeeded?" There were immediately many people who cried out. As for Jin Yi, her expression changed even more, looking like she was staring at a living ghost. "May I ask, who Tao brother is?" Yuan Ting's eyes burned fiercely, truly like he was looking at an idol. He was a bit hopeful, longing for the truth, his voice trembling as he asked. "I am Huang." Shahao replied. "What, he is Huang, the one who stepped on the unmatched path, merging 10 heavenly passages. Heavens, didn't he die? He was actually still alive. This person cultivated 3 strands of immortal energy, and also evolved the single heavenly passage. I am actually seeing it with my own eyes. Huang, he didn't die. This place erupted with noise, discussions everywhere. Shahao reappeared, leaving many people shocked. Everyone stared at him, looking at the barrier of light around his body. That was the single heavenly passage. Its appearance was like a divine disk, a bit taller than a person's height, surrounding him within, impervious to all methods, innately invincible. He cultivated 3 strands of immortal energy, and is even at the forefront of the present world methods, unprecedented in the heavenly passage realm, truly transcending above. There were many pairs of eyes that burned fiercely, their hearts feeling greatly stirred up. For them, this was someone who led the way, a pioneer of this path. The eyes of all those who wished to rise above through the heavenly passage realm began to release green light, truly wishing to throw themselves over. However, they didn't dare out of fear of angering this youth. If they provoked him, then that really would be extreme joy into sorrow. For most people, this was a living legend. If they could consult Shahao for advice, it was many times better than the personal letters of predecessors. After all, Sacred Academy's people, no matter how strong they were, they could only reach a similar level. If they could invite this person to personally speak about his experiences, then that really would be a rare opportunity. At the very least, this person was unmatched in the heavenly passage realm. With things already like this, how could Yuan Ting continue the challenge? He felt great admiration, because the further he went along this path, the more he felt how difficult it was to transcend above. This youth before him could do this. It really was too heaven-defying, making one feel great respect. May I follow you by your side? Yuan Ting spoke, feeling a bit unnatural, greatly different from his normal temperament, a bit embarrassed. I think it's still better if you don't. You have your own path. Sacred Academy is the best choice for you. Shahao said. Yuan Ting felt dejected. He truly wished to ask for guidance. He wouldn't mind even if he had to respect Shahao like a master. Of course, if you have any questions, we can discuss things together. Shahao said with a smile. Yuan Ting immediately became extremely happy. The other party called it mutual discussion, but he didn't reach that height at all. Giving him pointers sounded more right. He obviously understood the meaning of this, feeling grateful, hurriedly displaying an act of great courtesy. At this time, peace was returned to this pine tree forest. Many people heard their discussion, quite a few people revealing hopeful looks, also wishing to consult Shahao for guidance. You should bring her away. I don't want to see her again. Shahao pointed at Jinyi. The mountain was completely collapsed, blood flowing out from the corners of Jinyi's lips, laying at the foot of the mountain, her silver robes in tatters, hair disheveled, in an extremely sorry state. This time, she was seriously injured. If she wanted to recover, who knew how great of a price she would have to pay, possibly even dying from these Dao injuries. Right now, her expression was incredibly complex. If she knew this was Huang, she definitely would have avoided him, not willing to fight against him no matter what. Because this was definitely a great disaster. He cultivated 3 strands of immortal energy, so how could anyone contend against him? Apart from this, he even cultivated the single heavenly passage, truly a magnificent feat. It could be said that regardless of whether it was the ancient methods of the present world methods, this person was at the pinnacle. When Jinyi thought about everything again, she felt her scalp turn a bit numb. She actually dared to challenge this person, taking action. It truly looked like she was a bit tired of living. Right now, the others had similar thoughts, looking towards Jinyi, immediately making her face completely red. Fighting against this youth really was an act of not wanting a long life. Yuan Ting lifted Jinyi, looked towards Shahao, about to say goodbye and then bring Jinyi away first. Right now, this place was extremely calm, many people's eyes moving between Shahao and Jinyi, no one saying anything. This made Jinyi feel extremely embarrassed. Suddenly, sounds of air being broken through sounded, stirring up great winds as it arrived. It was as if a blazing sun landed, and then there was a deep blue radiance that followed. These were 2 human figures, both young men. One of them had his upper body exposed, skin extremely bright as if cast from bronze, giving off a feeling of power. Thick long hair scattered down, his body exuding a great masculine feel. Wang Yong. Someone cried out, not expecting that he would come out of seclusion at this time. The other person wore blue clothes, refined and elegant, temperament extremely outstanding, carrying a type of unique divine Tao feeling. There was a type of imposingness in his aloof appearance. Lan Meng. Someone said quietly, feeling restraining fear, because this person was extremely frightening, his cultivation only above Wang Yang's, not below. The two of them actually arrived together, both of them surging with life energy, as if they had just emerged from seclusion. They were bathed in a layer of divine splendor, making them look extraordinary. Everyone felt a wave of reverence towards them. Wang Yong saw the immortal gold arrow with a single look, inserted into a giant rock not too far from Shahao. It flowed with 7-colored brilliance, carrying immortal mist, sacred and without flaws. This type of valuable treasure, even if it was from far away, one would immediately know that it was exceptional. It erupted with 7-colored brilliance, flowing with a dreamy type of luster. Regardless of whether it was the arrow or the shaft, they were both cast from immortal gold, beautiful to the extreme. Lan Meng's eyes similarly flickered with brilliance. When faced with this type of great treasure, there wasn't anyone who wouldn't be moved. However, they all hid it quite well. The two of them quickly shifted their eyes from the 7-colored immortal gold arrow, looking at the young man on the other side, and then at Jinyi, who needed a supporting hand, revealing a look of shock. Even Jinyi was defeated. This young man was not simple. This place was extremely quiet, these two's arrival in particular making the atmosphere a bit strange. This place sank into a momentary silence. You really have quite the skill, defeating even Jinyi. Are you trying to seize the 7-colored immortal gold arrow? Lan Meng spoke. He really was tempted, truly wishing to obtain this arrow. This was especially the case right now when he saw that it was inserted into a giant rock, looking like an ownerless object, the perfect reason for him to intervene. In the surroundings, many people revealed strange looks. Was Lan Meng going to try to seize this immortal arrow? Don't try anything, it isn't yours. Shahao calmly said. It doesn't belong to me, so could it be yours? I recall that is Jinyi's weapon. Even though she is defeated right now, that doesn't mean that you can have it. Lan Meng said. This isn't mine, it is Feng Wu's. It is going to be returned to its rightful owner. Shahao gave him a look, coldly speaking. Feng Wu, that lower realm woman. Lan Meng revealed a look of surprise, not seeming to mind it that much. He looked at Shahao, sized him up, and then said, could it be that you also came from the lower realm, coming to get revenge for her? At the same time, he began to think to himself. There was no such person among the experts he knew about. 10 Crown King and exiled immortal actually didn't belong to the 3,000 Dao provinces, and Ning Chuan didn't look like this. After recalling the most powerful individuals, he didn't believe there was anyone else who could stop him. Even if this person was stronger than Jinyi, he still wouldn't be his opponent. There were no individuals from the lower realms that were that outstanding. Correct, I came from a lower realm, precisely here to demand an explanation for Feng Wu, and that was why there was a battle just now. Do you have any complaints? Shahao calmly asked. He already saw greed flicker past this person's eyes, desiring this great treasure. He definitely didn't have any good intentions. Came from a lower realm. Lan Meng raised his head, carrying an aloof feel. He then looked at the other party, saying, it isn't easy for those of the lower realms to come up, you really should cherish yourselves. How can you come here and make enemies like this? Shahao was a bit stunned. Did he need this person to lecture him? This was clearly some type of display of superiority. He really wanted to laugh coldly. This person didn't understand the situation at all. Who did he think he was? If he knew he was Huang, understanding his identity, he definitely wouldn't do this. Lan Meng looked towards Jinyi and then said, Miss Jinyi, did you suffer under his hands? We are both people from the 9 heavens, so I can't just stand on the side and watch, going to demand an explanation for you. This immortal Dao weapon cannot fall into his hands. It was clear that he was only taking action for the 7-colored immortal gold arrow. Everyone revealed strange expressions. What was Lan Meng trying to do? seized the seven-colored immortal gold arrow from Huang's hands. Was he tired of living? Everyone knew that he was strong, but this was relative. He definitely wasn't Huang's opponent. Regardless of whether it was the present world methods, or the ancient methods, that youth was an exceptional disciple in heavenly deity institution, someone who couldn't be won over. When Jinyi heard this, she remained expressionless, saying, "You can do what you want. If you can defeat him, then the arrow is yours. I don't want it." Many people became stunned. Jinyi really was quite vicious. This was simply trapping Lan Meng. Even though she didn't ask him to take action, wasn't this also a type of inciting and encouragement? There were some who originally wanted to open their mouths, warn Lan Meng, but when they saw Jinyi like this, all of them tactfully closed their mouths. It was to the extent where some became excited, looking forward to seeing Huang beat up Lan Meng, wishing to watch a good play. It was because they also chose the present world methods, all rivals, needing to compete against each other when the time came, only the most outstanding individuals able to enter Sacred Academy. If Lan Meng was seriously injured here, then that would leave them with a great chance. He, Lan Meng laughed, nodding and saying, "Since we are both from the 9 heavens, we naturally need to help each other out. Don't worry, I will take action, not allow this secret treasure to be brought away by someone of the lower realm." When they heard these words, everyone's expressions changing greatly, all of them worried for him. However, no one warned him. Jinyi put on a fake smile, nodding, but did feel a bit of a guilty conscience in the end. She secretly gave Shahao a glance, discovering that he just happened to look over as well, immediately making her break out into a cold shiver. "Yuan-ting, it isn't that I'm criticizing you, but when your Dao friends from the 9 heavens above are humiliated, how can you not take action? You should have stepped forward bravely and stood up for her." Lan Meng looked towards Yuan-ting and said. Yuan-ting's face was expressionless. He really didn't want to say much. Whether Lan Meng lived or died had nothing to do with him. He didn't want to get involved. "You seem to think you can defeat me, feeling like the 7-colored immortal gold arrow is something that you deserve." Shahao spoke. He, in the 9 heavens above, not just anyone can behave atrociously like you. You might be able to win against 1 or 2 experts, but there are many ancient families. These are not places where you can do what you please without any restraint. Lan Meng said with an indifferent voice. "For example, are you going to subdue me?" Shahao asked. "Correct." Lan Meng nodded, and then he turned around, looking towards Wang Yong and saying, "Dao brother, help me suppress him." Wang Yong nodded, saying, "The immortal gold arrow naturally cannot be brought away by him. You should just take action. I will watch over this place. If he wants to run, I will take action. You have your upper body exposed, looking like you are quite powerful and vigorous. Originally thought that you were an honest individual, never expecting you to show this type of greed. Really can't judge someone by their appearance, really nothing more than this. The two of you can take action together. If either one can even injure me in the slightest, then this 7-colored immortal gold arrow is yours." Shahao said coldly. "I am going to properly deal with you." Lan Meng attacked, instantly arriving, taking action first. Wang Yong also released powerful blood energy, ready to attack at any time. Everyone became speechless, really not having anything to say. Of course, they were quite excited inside, wishing to see the following scene. Lan Meng left behind an indistinct shadow in his original location, and like a mirage, directly disappeared, and then suddenly reappeared before Shahao's eyes. Peng! He lifted his right hand that was shining with incomparable brilliance, forming a great golden millstone. This was a pure gold hand, a glorious and well-known precious technique. The power was so great that the void began to rumble with noise, this entire region starting to tremble violently. Even though they knew that Lan Meng definitely wasn't Huang's opponent, when they saw this scene, they were still a bit shocked. This person's fist was too domineering. This type of power was too terrifying. If others went up, they would definitely be beaten up into ashes. That great golden millstone had many bone texts on its surface, complex to the extreme. Lan Meng sneered. The pure gold hand was extremely mysterious, something he had previously used when exchanging pointers with Jinyi, at that time blasting her until she coughed out large mouthfuls of blood. He believed that this youth was stronger than Jin Yi, but there was no way he could be that much stronger. After all, he couldn't be 10 crown king, exiled immortal, and people like these, so he shouldn't have any heaven-defying methods. However, he was destined for despair. Of course, during this process, he still didn't realize it, because he only saw Shahao indifferently raise his palm to slap him. Acting so carefree, yet you still want to defeat me. He laughed coldly, feeling like Shahao was courting death. Lan Meng released a light shout, his large golden millstone palm becoming even more resplendent, the symbols immediately increasing in number several times. He was going to decide victory and defeat with a single blow, display his prowess here. As a result, he forcefully increased his strength, not hesitating to activate his potential, using up a bit of innate spiritual essence. He was rather careful though, after all, Jin Yi was defeated, so he didn't think this person was simple, so he showed no mercy with this palm. A powerful blow sounded, golden light flying in all directions, accompanied by a muffled groan. A figure with blood flowing out from his mouth and nose flew outwards. Wang Yong, who was watching over this place in the rear, originally had a calm expression, eyes deep, but now, the corners of his mouth twitched, feeling pain in Lan Meng's place. It was because Lan Meng was directly sent flying by a large earthen hand, as if a housefly had been smacked, the great power making one shiver inwardly. Lan Meng released a loud cry, smashing into a distant mountain peak. Rocks flew into the skies, grass and plants a mess, smoke and dust surging. His entire body was in great pain, his bone framework about to scatter. He was a bit stupefied. What was going on? He felt as if an archaic barbaric bull charged straight into him, making all of his bones groan, unknown just how many were broken. Apart from his chest caved in, his organs damaged, every inch of his body in pain, blood flowing outwards. This was just too ridiculous. Even if an archaic barbaric bull smashed into him, it still wouldn't produce this type of result, right? He felt as if he had been trampled on by an archaic demonic elephant. The others were stupefied as well. It wasn't that they didn't know how strong Shahao was, but after seeing this scene, they were still greatly alarmed. That was Lan Meng, an extremely powerful cultivator. He used a powerful precious technique, rushing forward boldly, his entire body vigorous with power, yet he was slapped flying from a single strike just like that. Forget about Lan Meng being stupefied, everyone else also became speechless when they saw this. Lan Meng released a loud shout, his body surging with blood energy, flames raging about. He stood up from a pile of rubble, his aura becoming even more powerful. He wasn't just a mediocre cultivator after all. Like a phoenix reborn from flames, all of his body's bones released loud noises, quickly connecting, displaying power at the peak of the heavenly deity level, his flesh being reformed. At this cultivation realm, one could naturally regenerate broken limbs, let alone his situation that wasn't even that serious. Who are you? I underestimated you, this matter isn't finished. Lan Meng's eyes even became red. In his surroundings, 10 great heavenly passages appeared, every single one of them carrying a sleeping nascent spirit that was wrapped in a cocoon, waiting for the time to break out. This was a combination of the heavenly passage realm and the spiritual transformation realm, what he was doing to transcend above on this path. Shahao was shocked. This individual did have some ideas, making him reveal a surprised expression, starting to become serious. Kill. Lan Meng released a short shout, using his own trump card. Being humiliated like this in front of everyone put him in an extremely embarrassing situation. He didn't hesitate to use his own vitality to take action. The 10 heavenly passages appeared, those nascent spirits flying out, those cocoons breaking apart, releasing brilliant radiance from within. Then, all of the cocoon erupted, 10 nascent spirits emerging, opening their eyes, every one of them having dignified and imposing appearances. They were like the divine statues consecrated in ancient temples, divine and majestic. The instant these divine images opened their eyes, it was as if electricity shot out from their eyes, the radiance incomparably penetrating. At the same time, they formed magical imprints, blasting murderously at Shahao. Power of sacrifice. Shahao was startled. He could feel a type of sinister power. The 10 nascent spirits Lan Meng produced were a bit strange, as if this was a type of summoning method, awakening some ancient existences from heaven and earth, borrowing these nascent spirits to appear in this world. You can just go to hell now. Lan Meng shouted. The immortal energy he cultivated was also activated, winding together with the 10 nascent spirits, as if he was giving them an offering, making them more and more solemn and dignified. The strength was astonishing. The 10 great nascent spirits displayed a strange and mysterious power. This force gathered from the void, the spirits arriving from the other end of the world. It was as if there really were 10 great divine sect ancestors, all of them reviving at this moment. Shahao released a cold snort. He stood there, not moving at all. 3 great Dao flowers appeared above his head, blossoming there, moreover releasing an ancient scripture sound. Dao to 1, 1 to 2, 2 to 3, this was one of the most simple and an ancient true meanings, and right now, it was fully displayed. 3 great Dao flowers moved about, shining brilliantly, 3 to all things, natural laws gushing out, divine chains of order interweaving. In that instant, divine light seemed to flood this place, immortal mists sweeping about, dazzling multicolored light pouring down, immediately sweeping through the 10 nascent spirits. Lan Meng released a miserable scream. This time, it was just too disastrous. He used the most powerful methods, believing he could suppress that youth, never expecting that his 10 great nascent spirits would be completely destroyed, his 10 heavenly passages also starting to crack, almost exploding. Lan Meng flew outwards, and during this process, 3 heavenly passages exploded one after the other, divine multicolored light soaring. The scene was horrifying. His complexion was pale, unable to stand again. These injuries were just too serious. If he wanted to reconstruct the heavenly passages, the difficulty was too great. Right now, he almost felt like he would rather be dead than alive. It seems like you won't be able to bring the immortal gold arrow away, Jinyi said, somewhat taking joy in his disaster. She naturally knew that the other party took action precisely out of greed over the great treasure, not to help her at all. Lan Meng long spat out who knew how much blood, but now, another WA sounded, continuously coughing out several mouthfuls, completely infuriated by Jinyi. This woman was too vicious, actually daring to trap him. 3 great Dao flowers appeared above the youth's head. This was a young supreme being. How could Lan Meng be his opponent? There was no way unless he entered Sacred Academy and transcended above. Meanwhile, Jinyi actually didn't tell him, instead inciting and encouraging him to seize the immortal gold arrow. Lan Meng felt like he was a clown, actually challenging a supreme being with 3 strands of immortal energy. You vile woman. Lan Meng berated Jinyi. It was you yourself who was too greedy. Jinyi laughed coldly. Also you, what do you want to do? Shahao spoke, walking forward, blocking Wang Yang's path. I am not your opponent, Wang Yong said with a low voice. His upper body was exposed, his muscles winding about his body like small snakes, skin a bronze color, full of strength. This was a somewhat wild-looking man. However now, his head was completely lowered. When facing Shahao, all of his insolent and conceited behavior was restrained, not daring to say much at all anymore. How will we know unless you have a try against me? Didn't you say that this immortal gold arrow has to be left in the 9 heavens? However, the day will come when I will bring it back to the lower realm, Shahao said with a flat tone. Wang Yang's face was extremely ugly. He now truly hated the surrounding crowd a bit. There was actually no one who warned them before, leaving him in this type of extremely bad situation. If you don't use immortal energy, I am willing to fight against you. Finally, Wang Yong said it like this, because he was already forced to this extent. If he didn't take action, what kind of face did he have left? As you please. Shahao directly restrained the 3 strands of immortal energy, and then walked forward with large steps. When Wang Yong saw this, his eyes erupted with cold lightning, carrying a type of unruliness, as well as a type of madness. His body surged with an aura, as if floodgates were crashed through, as if a true dragon was emerging from the abyss. In that instant, the utmost young aura covered heaven and earth, the void about to be melted, the surrounding mountain rocks long turned into magma, the aura just too frightening. Even Shahao was a bit shocked. This person's blood energy was vigorous after all, ridiculously powerful. Even though it couldn't compare to him, it was still extremely astonishing. This was completely produced by Wang Yang's blood energy. He brandished his arms, forming magical imprints, rushing murderously at Shahao. Shahao stood there without moving. A screen of light appeared around his body. That was the single heavenly passage, silent and still. He stood there, allowing Wang Yong to charge at him like a mad beast. The heavens shook and earth moved, the endless magical imprints, precious techniques, and countless bone texts interweaved, smashing down towards Shahao, but he was perfectly unharmed. It truly was innately invincible, protection against all methods. The single heavenly passage couldn't be broken through, difficult to penetrate. The corners of Wang Yang's mouth twitched. He opened his mouth, his face full of bitterness. Then, with a hong sound, he was blasted flying. The single heavenly passage shone, bright and resplendent. He received serious injuries, that single heavenly passage breaking many of his bones. In that instant, regardless of whether it was Wang Yong of Lan Meng, they both knew who this was, feeling great bitterness inside. They were trapped truly miserably this time, truly wishing they could kill Jin Yi. The two of them were just too sullen. Everything they did just now was like a huge joke. How could they challenge this person? This was just seeking death. This person, who was even banished by Supreme Being Yuan Qing to Origin Ancient Mind, didn't die. How could they then defeat him? Only, who would have expected him to come alive, moreover right here? The two of them were full of resentment. I want to know, that person from Immortal Battlefield, was that you? Wang Yong was unwilling to accept this situation, asking this. He possessed a beast-like keenness, noticing something. Correct. Shahao nodded, acknowledging his words here. The one at Wang Shi's side was you. Wang Yong couldn't help but cry out. Correct. Shahao gave a conclusive reply. At this moment, forget about Wang Yong, even Lan Meng, Yuan Ting, Jin Yi, and the others were stupefied. They immediately woke up, fully understanding. If he wasn't Huang, then who else could he be? Killing the three-headed king, cutting down the void beast, these were all true, all done by Huang. Someone shouted. Previously, many people had their doubts, not really believing that it was Wang Shi's follower who did this, but now, they all understood. This person was Huang, he had that type of strength. Moreover, in the end, he even had a falling out with the Wang family, not fearing them at all. Many people were shocked, fully understanding now. They couldn't help but be shocked. This freakishly powerful fella had entered the academy a long time ago. Part 2 end here.